our lawmakers are now saying the quiet part out loud. Brad Sherman says, hey, you crypto bros created money out of thin air. You can't do that, but we're the government. We do. I explained that. I'm not going to go through that again. But the government needs to create more money out of thin air because the government, the U.S. Treasury, is broke. Literally meaning broke. As a matter of fact, let's hear directly from the head of the U.S. Treasury. Again, kind of in a business analogy, this would be like your CFO telling you this. Let's hear exactly what Janet Yellen, the head of U.S. Treasury, is saying about this debt default that's looming here.
Well, you know, I would say that if Congress doesn't raise the debt ceiling, the president will have to make some decisions about what to do with the resources that we do have. And there are a variety of different options, but there are no good options. Every option is a bad option.
First of all, that wasn't a bad signal. That's just how she talks. She has to labor over every single word. So that's how she talks. But there's no good options. Yeah. Who would want to cut back on their spending? Who would want to live within a budget? Those are not good options. She says that the president will have to make some very difficult decisions. Yeah, like not increasing the spending when you don't have the money. Those are very difficult decisions. Now, if you tune in regularly, you kind of already know this. I talk about this. It's already been framed up. But look, this isn't a partisan thing. I don't want to turn this into a Republican, Democrat. We happen to have a Democrat, Biden, in the office now. We had a Republican with Trump in before. Trump spent more money than any president before him, and Biden wants to spend even more. Every president wants to spend more, and the reason why is because we are in a debt-based monetary system, which means the debt has to constantly expand or the whole thing falls apart. So it's not red or blue. Trump spent more than before him, and Biden wants to spend even more. But Biden has come out like swinging like crazy, passing like all types of bills like the Inflation Reduction Act. And they want to spend $1.7 trillion on all these new programs, like $80 billion to bring on a whole bunch of new IRS agents, types of things like that. And, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to give to other countries to study, gender studies and things like that. Money that probably doesn't need to be spent. Money that might be good to be spent if you wanted to and you had some extra money and you thought it was worthwhile. But certainly not when you're broke and your income is exceeding your expenses are exceeding your income. So no good options left. Now let's talk about some of these options. So option one is the Republicans said, look, here's what we'll do. We'll allow you to increase the debt ceiling another $1.5 trillion. But you're going to have to cut a couple things because that's not going to be enough money. So a couple things you have to cut would be like cut some of these IRS agents, for example. Also, you're going to need to cancel that student loan forgiveness that you put through because we don't really have the money to do that. And also what we want to do is we want to start getting energy out of the United States again so we can become energy independent because that will really unleash the economy and allow us to grow out of this. And Biden says, no deal. So when Janet Yellen's saying that he has to make some tough decisions, one of the tough decisions would be, am I willing to spend less money in the future? Still increase it, still go up by 1.5 trillion, but less than I want, and that's where the stalemate is. I want you to understand that. The stalemate is the 1.5 trillion more isn't good enough, and that's what they're fighting over. Now, there's talks of a government default, and that is really running hot. As a matter of fact, that seems to be the base case that's going on here. Let's play this clip from Janet Yellen and hear directly from her on what she's saying about this.
As every Treasury Secretary has known, the only option that really leaves our economy in good shape is, and our financial system, is raising the debt ceiling and making clear that Congress stands behind the basic principle that America pays its bills. We're not a deadbeat country.
Yeah. So every economist knows, right? Every economist knows that the only way forward is for the U.S. government to continue to raise the debt ceiling. Otherwise, it leaves our economy in bad shape. Like, what? Like, hang on. Did you know that? Let me know if you know that. Hit me up on social media. I want to hear from you guys. Hit me up on social media at @1MarkMoss on Instagram or Twitter. I'm pretty active on both those platforms. And let me know, did you know that? Did you know that every economist knows that we have to increase the debt ceiling in order to continue to pay our bills? Now, more people are waking up to this than ever before. So this is a good thing in a long-term perspective because people are starting to wake up to this. But listen to the sheer insanity of that. Everyone knows we have to increase the debt ceiling in order to pay our bills. So that's going back to your business analogy. Your bank won't give you another credit line. You can't get any more credit cards. And you go back to the bank and said, look, everyone knows if you don't give me another credit line, my business goes under. What's the bank going to tell you? The bank's going to tell you to pound sand. I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing ever. But then the final part that she said, so that other nations don't think we're a deadbeat nation. So imagine, again, going back to your bank, I know you said you won't give me any more credit lines, and I know I've maxed out 15 credit cards. But look, if you don't give me another credit line, my business is going to go under, and people will think I'm a deadbeat company. Think about that. Well, if you can't pay your bills, you're not profitable, you've taken on more and more debt that you have no way of ever repaying, aren't you a deadbeat company? You're not going to pay those people their money back. Why would anyone loan you more? You are deadbeat. So what she's saying is wrong. I put out a tweet, I believe it was yesterday, earlier this week. I forget exactly what day. And I showed a chart. And I like to post a lot of charts on my main YouTube channel, Mark Moss, as well as on Twitter as well. Again, follow me on those platforms if you're not. And I like to show the charts because I want to show you the size and the speed of these moves. And the chart comes from Fred, which is the Federal Reserve's data board. And it showed that the interest on the debt, so again, they want to raise the debt ceiling from 31 trillion to almost 32 to another 1.5. The interest that's owed on that debt is now equal to the amount of money that we spend just on defense spending for the military. So we're paying just as much on debt as we are on defense. Now, we spend more on defense than the next 10 countries combined. So everyone from number 2, China, Russia, everybody, the next 10 people, we spend more than that combined. Now, so the interest on the debt is more. Now, does that sound bad? Did you know that the Federal Reserve has raised rates at the highest and fastest rate in history? And when the debt was taken on, we were in the 0.5 range. Today, we're at 5%. About 30% of that debt, the $32 trillion, has to be refinanced in the next 12 months at these new 5% rates. What do you think happens when you refinance 30% of your $32 trillion from 0% to 5%? Like if you took on 30% of your debt for your business, you had got like on a 0 rate transfer credit card, and then all of a sudden it resets at 5%. What is that going to do to you in a time when the interest is already meeting or exceeding defense spending, in a time when you can't already make those obligations